I want to talk about Jesy and Nelson again and Little Mix because, you know, I made my previous video talking about the hiatus they just went on and how some reflection points and things like that. And I kind of want to continue on that from the comments that I've seen from you guys, and I've been reading you guys' comments and everything, and I just want to talk about it because I really think the more that time is going on, the more I really strongly feel that the industry, the label, the management, etc., really destroyed the girls individually, but also as a group, and are really so much more to blame than maybe we realize, you know. And I've spoken to a number of you guys in different ways, in different places, about this and your feelings, especially for those of you who attended the confetti tour, like I mentioned. And those of you who maybe support both sides, you know, you're still supporting Jesy, but part of you still but you're also supporting, you know, the other three girls as well, or whatever. And I'm really open to hear from both sides of the argument, by the way, as long as it's being respectful, because some of y'all and be in the comments just literally trying to criticize and have nothing actually to say. And I'm like, listen, unless you're going to say something that can actually create a dialogue, then there's not really a point. But anyway, and I want to talk about this because as I've personally been reflecting, like, it's kind of shocking me, honestly, how I do feel kind of sad about all of this stuff, you know. I do feel kind of sad about how it all turned out, because, you know, like I've said to you guys before, and I want to clarify this again, and I've clarified it before, but we'll clarify it now since we're here, that yes, do I support Jesy? Yes. Is Jesy my favorite member of Little Mix? Yes. Was she always? Yes. But because of that, it doesn't mean that I don't like the other girls, and it also doesn't mean that I'm like Jesy was just my favorite if I had to choose one. It's like the equivalent of, like, I'm trying to think of another equivalent. I can't think of one right now, but she was just the one that I liked the most. And the reason why I'm supporting her is not because I liked her the most. It's because I did feel, based on the evidence that I found, based on the information you guys have shared with me, that she got the worst end of the stick in the end. I did feel that way, and I still do feel that way, right? But what I want to talk more about in this video is the other girls as well, and her and the other girls, because I want to open up this dialogue, guys, because here's the thing. I'm not for all of this arguing online. Now, you guys already know how I feel about this blackfishing and stuff, and I think that's nonsense. I don't think she was blackfishing. I don't think she was culturally appropriating. If you don't understand why I believe this is the first video, please check out the other videos in this playlist. I've got a whole Jesy playlist. And shout out to you guys for letting people know about my playlist on Twitter. I'll be seeing y'all like, wow. People are like letting people know about my playlist, which is so cool. So thank you for that, guys, if you are one of those people. And thank you for the people who share the clips of my videos. It's so weird. Like, when I see a picture of a clip of me, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. Like, it's crazy. But anyway, I digress. I want to talk about how I feel about the girls as a whole, as where they are now, because I don't know, like, from reading you guys' comments, and I will just say this now. I know a lot of you have said that the girls said that they are going to come back together, but I just think that as much as I believe that, as much as I want to believe that, I just don't see it myself. Like, and I'll tell you why. And a lot of the things I'm going to say in this video are going to tell you why. I feel like, as far as the fans, like, and this is what I think is what I hate about the industry, because you have a group of people who are presented to the world, and then they're presented to the world, they gain a whole bunch of fans and attention who genuinely love them. And I think that's where all of us factor into. We genuinely like the people we support. You know, whether, like I said, whether you're a fan of all four of them, just Jesy, just the last three, whether you're just a Leanne fan, maybe you're just a Perry fan, maybe you're just a Jade fan, right? Okay. And so we then fall in love with whoever the people are. We really support them. But the problem then becomes, I think, also for the artist, is that they now have fans they also care about, but they might be in a situation that they're not happy with. And so I think we have to be able to separate them having a love for their fans with how they feel about where they're at with their career and what they're actually going through as an actual artist. And that's why I kind of don't feel like they're going to come back together. I know they've said they're going to, and I believe they want to, because they want to give the fans what the fans want, and also because they love the energy that comes with that, and they also love that environment as well. I do truly believe that. But I also think that the logistics of them actually having that career is another story. The logistics of them actually continuing to work with these labels and this management and all these things and making music for their fans is another thing. And that's where my issues come from, because I think for Jesy, right, and this is where I'm at with this whole thing even now. I feel like Jesy was the one who, it got so much for her. She went on lockdown and she was around great people in her life who told her, look, you can't continue on like this, right? And we've talked about this previously in the previous videos, where I kind of talked about how Jesy got to the point where she said, look, I can't be here no more, y'all. Like, it's not going to work for me, right? And she had to focus on her mental health. And a lot of that was because she took the time off in lockdown and she just realized how she could feel completely differently. I mean, I'm happy for her. And I think a lot of the things that the other girls that she faced, the other girls have faced as well, but it's also depends on their particular situation, how they respond to that. So for the other girls, and everybody reacts differently. And I kind of talked about this with Fifth Harmony, who I also need to, I'm also going to be talking about more. So I'm just going to write a quick note down on in my notebook. But I talked about this with Fifth Harmony, how when it came to the whole Camila Cabello situation, right, and her wanting to leave before the racism stuff popped up, she was the one who strongly was upset that she couldn't write her own music, right? Which, again, they all came together. It was 5 of them that got put together. They didn't choose to go together. They got put together. And I get it. I'm sure so many of them are genuinely happy with the engagements they found themselves in. But the truth is, they had come into it with their own, and I will continue to reiterate this, that whatever you say, they came into it by themselves, and therefore their intention initially was to at least be with themselves. And you'll find that Dina from Fifth Harmony, she said that when the girls were breaking up, she wasn't sure if she could do it on her own, and she wasn't even sure about a lot of this other solo stuff like songwriting and all of that. And I feel like a lot of that's because she'd never had the opportunity to actually do that, and she had become very comfortable with the way things were working, you know, them being given songs that were written, her being a part of a group, them doing all this stuff together, and her not having to stand on her own. And so I feel that, like I always say, different people, we all react differently to the same situation. We could all go through a particular experience that could be traumatic or it could be not traumatic, right? We will all, there's the potential that we'll all react completely differently to it. And you see this like when somebody dies, right? I don't know if you guys have ever been around if you've ever lost somebody in your life that's really important to you, somebody that you really love. And then you see how it affects the people around you differently. Like you might be the one who cries immediately as soon as you find out the news, but then maybe, let's say your sibling, let's say it's you lost a grandparent, right? You might be the sibling that like cries immediately, but one of your siblings might not even cry at all, but then will be the one wailing the loudest, like at the funeral. Another one of your siblings might not even cry or anything, but is the one who's like obsessed with organizing the funeral. And I say this to say that, like, I feel like as human beings, the way we respond to things is different between us. And that's what I feel like comes with Little Mix. That I think a lot of what Jesy said, I respect her, because she really made it not about the girls, and she made it more about the industry. And I really believe it's about the industry. There's so many, think about how many situations we all talk about on this channel that we're like, oh my gosh, look at what the industry did. Like all these different artists where we can see that, like, again, even with Fifth Harmony, like how they had to compete for their own verses on their own song. It's like, what on earth is that? But that's what the industry was doing, you know? So I think a lot of this stuff is really the industry, you know, the label, the management, because they're just looking at it as a business. And we talked about that in my video where I talked about, you know, the Hollywood music business strategy of use, abuse, and dispose, right? And we know even with Little Mix from the stories of things that they were forced to do, all these crazy tours and dates, and not being able to see their family. And, you know, Jesy was all being injected just because she was in pain, rather than at least allowing her to take some time off, and all this crazy stuff. We know that this is what these people do. So I feel like for the other girls, and again, I'm still upset about, I wouldn't say upset, but I'm still unhappy. I still feel the situation with Leanne, this is the best way to say it. Let me say it like this. I still feel the situation with Leanne is unresolved, as far as the fact that she hasn't said anything till now, in apology that I have seen. And I think that there was a whole movement that was released as a result of her actions, which I talked about in my previous video, so I won't get into that now. But I do feel that some of where maybe she's feeling, and even the other girls, is probably coming from a place of like actually being in this industry and them actually going through this stuff. Because, you know, like when you all go through something traumatic or bad, sometimes, and this might even factor into our actions, there can be a tendency to be upset at the person who was the first to be prepared to fight for what they actually deserve. And I do feel that kind of energy in some ways coming off of the other girls. I feel sometimes like they're trying to, and this is what I've been feeling since like the confetti tour, like in my opinion, it sometimes feels like they're trying to continue and look at something in a positive way that was actually kind of really negative for them. That's how I personally feel. And so that's where I feel, that's where I think a lot of their actions come from, and even the actions of like Leanne and stuff, because it's like she went through all this stuff, and she went through all this stuff, they've all been through this stuff, and then it's like Jessy's the one to speak out and speak up and really give her side of the story. And whereas I think they kind of all have a side of the story, because I've said this to people before, hold on one second. I've said this to people before, that when I'm speaking about Jesy, it's not that I'm speaking about her and I'm totally ignoring what the other girls have been through, because I truly believe, and I've said this so many times, that they've all been through a lot at the hands of the industry. I do think Jesy went through a lot, in particular for certain reasons, particularly to do with her appearance, and whether you want to acknowledge it or not, the other girls are all of a very similar like bodily stature, more naturally than Jesy. So that's a lot of pressure. You know, that is a lot of pressure, because when it comes to things like fittings, I'm sure for the other girls it might be a lot easier to say, if somebody doesn't like their outfit, just swap the top with the other one, or just swap the shorts with the other one. It might not be the same for Jesy, and that's not because there's anything wrong with Jessy's body. I think she's got a beautiful body. I think she had a beautiful body. I think she was beautiful the way she was. I think she was great the way she was when she came in the beginning, right? But I think that what she's shown and what she said to me was just a hint as to what's probably going on behind the scenes. But here's the problem. We're never going to know if people don't speak up about it. And that's where I think the difficulty is coming from for everybody, because I feel like there's a sense of, at least more so with Perry and Jade, that they want to keep up this like, well, we're Little Mix and we don't want to disappoint the fans. Because I think sometimes we underestimate how much people in Hollywood, in Hollyweird do, because they don't want to upset the fans, and not because they're doing it like out of some weird like condemnation, but because they actually care. They actually love their fans. They actually appreciate their fans. They're actually appreciative of the fact that people are paying for tickets to come and see them. They actually appreciate the fact that people are buying their merch. They actually appreciate the fact that people are logging in on YouTube or whatever, streaming their music, and it's getting millions and hundreds of millions of views. But I think sometimes also that makes it hard for them to sometimes maybe step out and do what's right for themselves, because they might lose the support from the industry, you know. And you kind of saw this even with, I heard Lauren from Fifth Harmony was talking about how she got to the point where she just decided that, you know, she has fans and now she can do what she needs to do with her fans, and her fans will come to see her and she's happy about it, and that's working for her. And it's kind of similar with JoJo, because JoJo was done so badly by the industry, and we're going to continue to talk about JoJo, so definitely check out my JoJo playlist and check out the videos I've done about her, because she's really been through a lot with the industry. The industry has done her so dirty, but the thing that she's had is her fans, and the fact that she was able to lean into her fans and they continue to support, and they still continue to support her, is amazing. And that's why I even say to you guys all the time that, you know, the power is always with the people, which is why we've got to be smart enough. And this is why I talk about this type of stuff to you guys, because I want you to understand that, like, that you have power, and the power that you do have, so that you can use it well. You know, so you can use it well. So for example, like I always say to you guys, that I don't get these people who are upset with Jesy online, who are continually just obsessing over her, because I'm like, if you're that upset with her, if you feel like she was blackfishing and whatever, which you're entitled to your opinion, then how about bring more energy towards the people you actually want to support, like, you know, the rest of Little Mix? Because right now you're bringing more attention to Jesy. You might as well use the power you have of being a person, which adds support, which adds who buys a ticket or doesn't buy a ticket, or who adds views. You might as well use that for the people you want to support, rather than the people you don't want to support, because you're actually bringing attention to the person you don't want to support by doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? And so that's what those are the types of things that you guys will know that that I've spoken about, that I don't really understand that people do that. So let's use your power well, is basically why I'm saying this. I'm saying all this stuff so that we can understand that, like, you know, even for these girls in Little Mix, and I really hope they're going into good deals, whatever deals they're going into. I hope they're going to be genuinely good deals that are going to benefit them in the long run, and not just other like industry vultures trying to take advantage of them. I hope that, like, they really will take this opportunity to start afresh, not make this about beef from the past, or, and I hope Leanne's not going to be talking about anything to do with blackfishing or cultural appropriation, because will she get some kind of attention for that? Yes. Will that build her a long-lasting career for however many decades to come? I don't believe so. Because at a certain point, a lot of these things, they die down. A lot of these things, they change. I mean, Jesy had already apologized for that stuff. Like, even though I don't feel she should have had to, but I get why she did, and I kind of respect her for doing it regardless, you know? Because if you've offended people, sometimes even if you didn't intend to do something, but you've offended people, then it is good to apologize, you know? So I get that, because there are people who are offended. I personally wasn't, which is why maybe I didn't feel like she needed to. But it's good that she did for those who were offended. But at the same time, you know, I think a lot of this stuff between them, I would just, like I say, I would really love to know what they feel, what they would say, if you could actually just hear what they have to say, not what it's okay for them to say in public with the label or their PR team or their management team, but how they actually feel about these situations. Because I think a lot of this is the industry. It's very cutthroat. When you get into it and you sign these deals, especially on these shows, and we've been talking about, a couple of you have been tagging me in some stuff. One of you guys tagged me in what Rebecca Ferguson's been speaking up a lot about this stuff, and I have a video coming out, by the way, on that, about the update on the NDA. So that video, look out for that video. I actually filmed it before. I don't know why I haven't put it out yet, but anyway, well, I haven't put it out yet because I don't want to post like 20 videos a day, but I have a video coming out as well about that, because that was really helpful, basically, where we found out that you guys have to check out the NDA video. I don't want to start explaining that because that's going to be long, but I've got an upcoming video coming out talking about this thing. Rebecca Ferguson revealed that one of you guys tagged me in, and like we've been talking about, but we've been talking about like how horrible these shows are and how it's really not in favor of the talent. When I say these shows, I'm talking about like X Factors, the Britain's Got Talents, the America's Got Talents, the American Idols. These shows, and like I've said to you guys before, these shows were set up because of what happened with the Spice Girls, because the Spice Girls did a year training with their previous manager. He didn't give them a contract because he thought he was smart. Where they're going to go. But then they were smart enough, which I'm good for them, I respect them, to say, well, we don't even have a contract, so we're going to sign our own contracts and we're going to do our own thing. And so they basically took all the training that they'd had and they went and made their own deals, and then they went and became successful. And so instead, what then was created was these talent shows we watch, where they get to bring people on. They just so happen to put certain groups together, but then because those people have signed these crazy contracts, which you guys will know, I have a contracts playlist. I went through an X Factor contract, sign up contract, and I also went through an America's Got Talent sign up contract. So you guys should check out those videos. You can see what these people are actually signing. When you see what they actually sign just to come onto a show, you'll see how insane it is and why a lot of them are in these horrible contracts, these horrible positions. But, you know, they get them onto these shows, into these contracts, because then they get to basically do the same thing that this guy did with the Spice Girls, which is test out their skills and train them up for a particular period of time, and then rectify the mistake he made, which is in their case, they get to now also, they're already signed into a contract where they get to do whatever they want to do with them. So it's very smart. It's very, very smart. And I think a lot of these girl groups are put together not because the girls didn't stand well on their own, or even the guy groups, not because the guys didn't stand well on their own, but because the people who are in control saw them as being more profitable as a group in potential, saw them, because groups are profitable. You know why? Because it's like the same thing with the Spice Girls again. Why are the Spice Girls very popular? Because there's a lot of, everybody can relate to a different person. Just like how this is why we have this whole Jesy Nelson and the rest of the girls issues, because it's natural that everybody's going to find a certain person that they really like. And I've even seen from you guys, I've seen from some of the fan pages that some of you guys maybe are a big Perry fan and Perry's your favorite. Some of you guys, maybe your favorite is Jade. Some of you guys, maybe your favorite is Leanne. Like, everybody's going to find their own favorite. And because of that, it opens the number of people who can be interested in a particular group, because there's so many people who are interested in so many different people. And then the fan base is going to be bigger, which is great for business, right? But it's not necessarily great for the people. And that's my problem, because I think a lot of these decisions are made not based on what's best for the individual, for the artist, which is what I would care about. For me as a manager, if I was managing these people, I would be like, what's the career you want? 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 And focus on that. And that's what should be being focused on, right? But that's what we would think. That's what we're assuming. And that's why I always say to you guys, don't assume in life that people are just good just because you think they're going to be good. The fact, chances are, if you're a person who's a pure of heart and you're a nice individual, then that actually vastly decreases the chance that you're dealing with somebody else who's just like you. Because those people, unfortunately, in this day and age, we live in a sinful world, we live in an evil world, are not as common as we might think, right? but you know, these people a lot of the time are not necessarily living the career that they thought they want, the career that they actually wanted to have. They're living the career that they've been told to have, kind of thing, if you guys catch where I'm coming from, or the career that they're taking, because they do what I always say to you guys, which is like, you'll notice that they'll say to them, well, we didn't think you guys were good on your own, but we wanted to give you another chance by putting you together. It's like, let's break down your self-esteem. Let's make you think you're not good enough by yourself, because then you're definitely going to agree to what we're saying. And in reality, if we're all being honest, look at what Jesy's doing now. Did Jesy ever need to be in a group? Technically not, right? And I'm sure the same is going to be true for the other girls when we see their music coming out. A lot of them, I'm sure we're going to be looking at them like, they're great by themselves, right? And then, you know, the industry will say to them, well, it's only because we helped you. And the truth is, chances are, they probably would have been amazing on their own even still. And I believe the same even with Fifth Harmony. I mean, they all are great singers. All of these people are greatly talented who get into these groups. But they do this stuff to be able to be in control. And that's why I feel like so many of the things that we discuss, so many things we're upset about as far as all this stuff, it's not that there's actually... It's all manufactured, and we're all experiencing, like, we're all victims. They're the victim, the band members themselves or the girls themselves, and we the fans are also the victims. But then it's the industry who's doing it, because the industry is using the fact that we are going to respond well to what they're bringing to the table, because these are genuinely talented people. They put loads of them together, right? A couple of them together, however many. Then they're abusing the girls themselves because they're massively talented and they can easily pick up an audience that's going to help them to make money. But then we're worse off for it, because now we're in a situation, this whole Leanne situation, where I'm like, given the hate online, I don't care what level, I don't care. Listen, if I, in my little baby channel, can see how horrible the hate is online, and I'm not even like hired to manage Little Mix or any of them, there is absolutely no way that these people don't know what's going on online. Which means that they're purposefully either choosing to promote it or to ignore it. Either way, that's a problem. And so that again is what makes me think, I wonder what the girls actually think behind closed doors about Jesy, or Jesy about them. I wonder if they feel, I would just love to know, because it just seems like, to me, the industry is just the one really causing the problems more than the girls themselves. Even with the Leanne thing, I do think Leanne was feeling how she was feeling, but I think also, if she was allowed to even do that, surely that would have to be allowed by management. Because how many times have people done stuff and then the day after they apologize, and you can just tell that it's like, oh, managers obviously told them like, this isn't allowed, you can't say that online, we don't do this in 2022 or whatever, right? So the fact that she got away with it, it's almost like it helped the situation. And I had a video up before, like in the very beginning when the stuff all went down, and I took it down as I don't believe that Jesy's also being controlled by the industry myself, right? But anymore. But I don't know if she was before, but I don't think she is now. That's just my personal opinion. But in that video I was saying, is this just all a setup? Because it did bring more attention to Little Mix. And I remember around the time I was seeing Little Mix's adverts and everything popping up, and so I was just like, is this all part of the industry? And this is the other thing, they will happily do something like that because it will make them money. But here's the thing, the victims will be the ones who are hurt. It will be you, if you're a Jesy fan, being hurt, hearing this horrible stuff online about Leanne. It will be you, if you're a Leanne fan, feeling like Jesy was blackfishing because Leanne said it. Maybe you don't feel that way, but maybe because Leanne said it, you feel that way. You're hurt because you feel like what Jesy, you're hurt because of what's going on. If you're the girls themselves, you're hurt because now the fans are upset and there's turmoil, and there's turmoil between you guys, and you're supposed to be a sisterhood. And so do you see how it's like, for the industry, everything basically is a win for them. If they're doing well, it's a win for them. If there's drama, it's a win for them, because either way, the industry, the label, management, etc. are going to make money. The artists, the fans, those are the ones who are going to lose out. And that's what really upsets me about it all. And that's what's making me think so much into it more. Like, and just even with this hiatus, like, in a way, if they're going to come back together, whether it's the three of them, whatever, I just think that I don't know. I don't trust it to be with the people in the industry right now. Because the way they've dealt with a lot of this stuff, for me, just seems like they did what was best for the business, not for the people. And I want all of them, like, whether I say Jesy's the one I like the most or not, and like I said, she's just the one that I think I gel with the most. Nothing personal against any of the other girls. I still want them all to be successful, you know. I still want them all to succeed. I still want them all to have a fair shot. So it's like, and I still feel they all have a story to tell, you know. A lot of them, we might feel differently about the other girls if we got to know more of their story, but we don't get to, because at the moment they're still all industry involved and stuff. So we'll just have to see what happens. I just wanted to kind of touch on this stuff in this video, you know, because you know, I really just think that the industry is so much more to blame than we give the industry than we're realizing. And I really just don't want us to be. There's been so much heartache, and people are still being horrible to Jesy online, and it's still frustrating. And if you're doing that, like, just cut it out. Like, just cut out any hate online. If you're that upset about one person versus somebody else, trust me, that the person that you're trying to help, you're gonna help them a lot more by just talking about them and pushing their stuff than talking about the other person. Honestly. But I do think a lot of this stuff is coming from the industry. I do think the industry is having a great time while we are all arguing and sending hate online and defending whoever we're defending, because it's bringing attention, and then all they have to do is just release stuff and bring stuff up for us to then all obsess over and then make money, and then the fans be the ones who potentially get hurt, or the artists themselves. And I just think that's kind of wrong, you know? But anyways, you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you have to say. Y'all know I love to hear what you got to say. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Thank you so much for all of you who do subscribe. And also, if you're a Jesy or somebody who watches my Jesy videos, check out some of my other videos. I got loads of videos over here. You might not like all of them. Some of them you might like, but just have a look through. Have a little scroll. Look around. You might like some bits and bobs. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you all so much for your support, your continued support. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video. God bless you all, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.